we'll move on to the LA Kings. Hopefully do a little bit better here. LA Kings last year, 3rd in the Pacific, 10th overall in the league. Last time in the playoffs last year, they lost in the first round to Edmonton the last 2 years. 22-1 to win the Cup this year, but huge deal they made. They signed and trade. Winnipeg sent over Pierre-Luc Dubois, 8 years, $68 million deal. Also brought in Trevor Lewis, Kevin Connaughton, Cam Talbot, David Riddick, and the goaltenders, but they lost a lot of guys. Gabe Velati, Alex Iafallo, Sean Walker, Sean Dursey, Alex Edler, Cal Peterson, and Jonas Corposalo. Very little cap space, about $123,000. Also, Todd McClellan, he's heading into the 5th and final year of his deal. After, like I said, 2 straight first-round losses.
He deserves an extension.
Well, that's because you got the lame duck status there. You wonder if they are going to extend him. But, LA a couple of years ago, they were sort of like knocking at the door. They're a contender right now. What do you think, Biz? What's your take on the Kings this year? They in the playoffs?
I think that they have a very strong chance, if they stay healthy, to win that Pacific Division. I would argue that their top 3 lines are the best depth on any team in the league. Their center ice is easily the strongest in the league right now. That is such a huge pickup. Rob Blake, ever since he first took over, there was a few hiccups early on, but mixing in young talent and going out and signing some fucking big name players like Danault. Obviously, it's a little easier when you're the LA Kings to bring guys over to LA. You get to fly under the radar and play there, and you're fucking on a championship caliber team. Like I said, going out there and getting Dubois huge, Danault, and then Kopitar. I think that their top 4 defense are very underrated. You still have a lot of gas left in the tank with Drew Doughty. I think that Russian defenseman there, how do I pronounce his name? Gavrikov. They picked him up from Columbus. Extremely underrated. I love Matt Roy. Played with him in the American Hockey League. A very
Joey
solid.
Anderson's nice.
I think Mikey Anderson fucking plays a very heavy game. Obviously, Doughty's Doughty. The big question mark is in net right now. They had Phoenix Copley step in last year when they had some struggling goaltenders, and he went on that crazy run, which got them back in the playoff picture. They pick up Talbot for that wily veteran experience. So all they need to do is split the net and play competent enough, and that team is easily going to make the playoffs. And I mentioned, you said they lost a few guys up front, RA, but they fucking had Arvidsson come in that trade from Nashville. He was fucking awesome. He was stellar in playoffs. They have Fiala, who was injured in playoffs, who when he's healthy, he's fucking unbelievable. Kempe, automatic 40 goals. He's another guy who flies under the radar there. I guess the one question mark is if Quentin Byfield, if he could take that next step. As I said, this fucking top 9 forwards is lethal. I like them. I view them as a top 3 Cup favorite. The biggest question mark in net, and there's a few goalies. You got one down the road in Gibson, and then you got another one in Hellebuck who could end up making an impact.
They got no money, dude.
I understand, but you never know what's going to happen throughout the season. Maybe they have the long-term IR play happening. You never know, right? But let's see how things go. The Vegas Golden Knights ended up winning the Stanley Cup with a 4th, 5th string goalie in Aiden Hill. If one of these guys pops off, like in Cam Talbot, like he plays like he did a few years ago when he was in Minnesota, who the fuck knows what can happen? So I am pumped. We all know they're my 3rd team. I'm continuing to root for them, and I see big things happening for the Los Angeles Kings.
They're a great team. Cannot argue about the top 9. I actually think that easily the biggest question mark is goaltending. Like it's just really hard for me to look at that team and take them as serious Stanley Cup contenders with what it looks like now. I mean, they're just spending so little money on goaltending, which could end up being amazing if one of these guys plays great. And all of a sudden you're looking at this like, look at the money we got on our goalies, and we're still this good of a team. But if they do struggle, it won't be that shocking because of who you have there. And I understand Copley did a hell of a job last year, but he's never proven himself as a number 1. And Cam Talbot, while also, there's a chance he lights it up, there's also a chance he could struggle. So I see that team being so deep at every position but goalie, and that's the most important position on any team. So the Quentin Byfield thing's also interesting because he looks like he could be a stud, but this is kind of a big season for him. If he doesn't make that step up, then you start wondering, like, does he need to play center to be good? Well, he ain't playing center on that team unless he's playing on the 4th line, which won't happen. The center position there, Biz, you're right. It's unbelievable. To have Danault as your 3rd line center is so crazy that you're laughing with the depth you have up the middle. They'll be so good at shutting teams down defensively. I love their decor. For me, it's all about goaltending. If they get good goaltending, they could win the Stanley Cup, no doubt. If they don't, they could kind of struggle to get in the playoffs, dude. It's that kind of uncertain going into this season. So if Byfield plays well, Byfield jumps up to 50 points, and they get good goaltending, man, they're going to be very hard to beat, no matter who it is.
Merles, what do you got on the Kings?
Yeah, obviously got him in the playoffs. I have him ranked third in the division. Vegas and Edmonton are just too good. If they want to go to the Cup, you're saying you got to beat both of them in a 7-game series. I just can't see it. I got a great guy to watch, though, this player to watch, Brandt Clark. You guys heard of this guy?
Stud.
Yep.
Absolute stud. He was 8th overall pick. He averaged like 1 point under 2 points a game in the OHL last year. He played his 9 games and got sent back there, but he has a chance to make the team this year, and he's Drew Doughty, the next Drew Doughty.
2.0?
2.0, is that what you would use? As soon as Doughty's done, this guy's going to fill right in. A great time to be a Kings fan to watch this kid.
The Kings have done a phenomenal job in going from those 2 Stanley Cups and having a couple years when they weren't there, but like what a quick rebuild in terms of becoming a contender again. Like that's the argument that fans will always give in terms of not really tearing it down. And I know we're staunch believers in really becoming bad to become great again. They've somehow, through Rob Blake and obviously Todd McClellan deserves some credit in how he's coaching them, but they've just retooled on the fly and become immediately contenders when it looked like there was going to be a time when they were going to struggle for a while. So part of that's drafting, right? They did lose a guy like Velarde, but you're not able to bring guys in without trading good players. So unfortunately, they lose some guys who made a big impact. Like I thought Dursey was a big loss, and then you forget about Clark coming in. So it's a fun team to watch too. I love watching games in LA. The fans are awesome. They got one of the best goal horns around, and they're a tough team to beat.
Merle, so obviously you have been in the playoffs. G, what about you? What's your take on the Kings?
I am very, very high in the Kings. Kind of like Biz and Witt said, I think everything comes down to goaltending. One thing I think is interesting, and I think Biz just brought it up, is what do you do with Quinton Byfield? There's a huge gaping hole in goal. Maybe you look to move Quinton Byfield to a team like Winnipeg and bring in Connor Hellebuck, because, I mean, they need help up the middle, and LA needs a goalie. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting things that could happen with this team this year.
How long's Hellebuck signed for?
He's going into the final year of his contract.
So that's tough, man. If Byfield goes on to be a 70 to 90 point guy.
But Kopitar and Doughty have earned the respect and brought them 2 Stanley Cups. You push your chips in the middle for those guys, and you have a 2-3 year window here where you can win another one. And you got to go for it now. And I think that if you do so, for a sign and trade style trade, where if it's Quinton Byfield and Clark and a draft pick, and you get back that goalie, hey, who knows, man? Maybe Scheifele's on the way out too. I mean, I think he's only got a year left on his deal as well, right? And he's only making $6 million, and he's a point a game player every year since he signed that fucking contract.
And I think you'd see a team like Winnipeg eat some money if they could get some draft picks in return.
Sure. I mean, look at how crafty Blake's been with signing those 2 big centermen in Deneau and Dubois. So you gotta go for it now, boys. You only have so much of a window available.
Dubois is going to have a monster year.
Oh, yeah. He's going to shut the haters up.
And Fiala's been a great pickup for the Kings, too. Since January 1st of 2022, he's got 137 points in 121 games. Some of them were obviously with Minnesota before that. He had 72 points in 69 games last year. So 70-year, $55 million deal. Money well spent, averaging 1.13 points per game. So, yeah, obviously I got the Kings in the playoffs. I've been on their tip for a little while here. So